We appreciate that. Oh, here we
You
go.
probably had to do it last time, too.
Yes.
All right, good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the North Branford and Conservation Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency to order. Again, January 24th, 2024 at approximately 6:32 p.m. First, I'd like to do is just do a roll call of everyone seated here today. We have regular members Bob Whitworth, Frank Bragano, and Ashley Joyner. We have the town planner, David Perkins, and Wetlands Administrator. We also have Marie Diamond, who is our liaison with the Town Council. I'm Steve Scavo. I'm chairman for this evening's meeting. And next thing we'd like to do is do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item will be minutes of November 15th, 2023 and December 13th, 2023. Has everyone had a chance to read and make any comments? We'll actually start with November 15th first.
Yeah, they were revised.
They were revised.
So I read the November 15th ones. I don't have any issue with that one, but I do have some discussion items for.
Well, how about if everyone's okay with the 15th, we can make a motion, improve those, and we'll, so we don't get confused. Is that good? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Move approval of those first minutes.
Okay, very good.
I'll second it.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
So who did what? Bob?
Moved. Second. Frank seconded.
For the 15th.
Got it.
So now we'll move on to December 13th, and
Okay,
I understand you have some suggestions,
yeah, so
Frank, or revisions.
This December 13th, right?
Yes.
First of all, we don't have the first page,
Yeah.
okay? We start with page 2. And second of all, on page 2, the top paragraph, there's a typo. It says "feet" should be "deep." And then, at least the way I learned things is when you're going to write initials like this, you should first write what they are and then put in parentheses it. So I'm assuming ZEO is zoning enforcement officer, and I'm assuming BO is not body odor. But I'm assuming that means building official.
Correct.
What's FM? I couldn't figure
Fire
out.
marshal.
Oh,
Okay.
fire marshal, okay, because I thought that was a radio
I
frequency.
guess we gotta learn the acronyms.
So, those are the only comments, but we do need the first page before we can approve it.
It's not.
So you didn't get page 1?
No.
No,
Is that what you want?
Yeah.
no, that's the, oh, is this page, I'm sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
never mind, I'm looking at,
Oh,
where's today's
okay, yeah,
agenda?
yeah,
I
yeah.
moved it, my mistake.
No problem.
It's fine.
The rest of it, oh, and,
Last page.
the last page, it says, a discussion, the citation process will discuss with town manager along, oh, never mind, that's for later on, never mind. Sorry,
No problem.
So you can approve the minutes with
with those changes,
those
yeah.
changes?
Okay.
There's
So,
one more typo
oh,
on the
sure.
last page, page 4, paragraph 6A. The site without permits, without one word. Right now it's spelled 2 words.
Without?
Yeah, nothing to lose sleep over, but
Gotcha.
since we're editing, let's edit.
We like attention
here
to
it is.
detail. Yep, I see it.
You can see we read them at least, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I guess I think everyone feel comfortable. We accept them with the
Yep.
following revisions. So if someone would like to make a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to approve the December 13 minutes with the corrections.
Do
Second.
we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. December 13th minutes with said revisions are approved. Okay, next we're going to move under old business, number 4, item A, application 2023-8, 730 Forest Road, site plan, construction of proposed contractor storage facility with associated parking, loading, and circulation space, stormwater management and parking lot modifications in the upland review area. Owner applicant Aniello and Leah Salino. And just identify yourself for the record and proceed.
For the record, Brian Panico with Harry Cole & Son, 876 South Main Street in Plantsville, here on behalf of the applicant. So, subject parcel is 730 Forest Road. I know we kind of went over a brief overview of the whole project. When we left off at the last meeting, we had discussed some of the potential storage issues and what was going to be stored and how we were going to manage and regulate that and manage it with the individual tenants. And so what we went ahead and did was put together a kind of a little worksheet here that should be on your desk now. And essentially, the idea is that this document could be provided with the lease agreement so that, again, before somebody goes and signs a lease, they could read this, sign off on it. And specifically, this states a couple of the things that we discussed at that last meeting, which is number one, that all of the tenants potentially moving into this facility would know that they have to go and meet with Mr. Perkins to get their use approved. And then again, some of these items specifically we didn't put specific volumes of material under these, but for example, fertilizers, items, pesticides and whatnot, that are maybe not federally regulated, but regulated by the state of Connecticut, and anything deemed toxic by the EPA that they are either going to store or may store in the future, they would have to disclose to both the owner of the property and to staff, so that those items could be looked at on an individual basis and determined, whether that's safe or not.
Disclose or get a permit on top of it?
So specifically in here, it says that anything that requires a permit to actually have and maintain, that the tenant must actually have a license for.
Yep.
So we're not gonna just let Joe's Lawn Care, and Joe no longer is with there and he used to have a license. He's not allowed to just give it up to somebody who doesn't have a license and just let them store 1,000 pounds of fertilizer in the building. The idea is, and typically in discussion with Neil and discussion with actually a lot of other contractors, what we've found is that more or less the kind of stuff when they do store material ends up being either leftover, so they have a bag or two of fertilizer because they're going to Lesco in the morning, picking up 50 bags of whatever they're using, doing the job, and then if they have a bag or two left over, that's what they're storing. It doesn't make sense for them to waste space that they're paying to store stuff on storing bulk, amounts of these materials. Same with like paint. Obviously, paint, specific concern. If a painter rents this space, specific concern because it is a liquid. So if it did spill, did end up on the ground, did then wash down to the river, that would be of specific concern. So we don't want large volumes of paint thinners, and then those different agents. So we specifically tried to go through and come up with some reasonable numbers that we thought were reasonable. Again, so that, paint contractor, for example, has a couple 5-gallon buckets of paint, a couple things of paint thinners. They can store those, and we also have specifically put in here that they should be stored and they need to be stored in a responsible manner, deemed responsible by the manufacturer, as well as any of the materials or anything being stored actually being stored in a container that is approved by the manufacturer or in the original containers. Because obviously with different chemicals that becomes an issue. Certain chemicals can eat through plastic over time, would then leak, could potentially leak and cause hazard. So tried to go through with this list and make it as thorough as possible without, basically, essentially without limiting, every contractor from having certain things. So again, fuel storage, if you have a 5-gallon or a couple 5-gallon things of fuel that you store there overnight instead of outside on a trailer or something, that's okay, but we don't want 55-gallon drums of fuel or oil or diesel or any of that being stored within this building so close to the river. So again, this list was our recommendation. If you guys have any additional recommendations or things that you might want to see changed, we're certainly open to that. And then we also went through and talked and put a specific section here about what's allowed to be stored in those bins outside. Because I know that came up at that last meeting and there was some concern. So clean stone, topsoil, clean fill, mold, things of that nature allowed to be stored there, but not allowing people to store salt for the winter season out there that could melt and then run off into the river. for stuff like that, so.
So can I comment? This is a good start. First, the typo in your sentence that starts any waste, about 3/4 of the way down.
Yep.
Any waste deemed hazardous shall be removed by a third-party waste management company specialized in that type of waste.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other thing, the one that bothers me the most, is you didn't include oxidizing agents.
Okay.
So, for example, calcium hypochlorite is a typical swimming pool sanitizer. It's highly flammable if it gets contaminated. So, I'm hopeful that the town fire marshal would be aware of that and know you're storing it. I mean, even a small drum that's used in a person's home, if not handled correctly, can cause a fire if it gets contaminated.
Yep.
So oxidizing agents especially needs to be added to that.
Okay.
Okay, and that would include liquid bleach, et cetera. Because, you know, as I hope you know, if you mix liquid bleach with a caustic, you're gonna generate chlorine gas.
Yep.
So, those should be included as, and limited,
Okay.
okay?
Would you have a recommended volume that you would say?
You know,
I mean, I know that we
don't-
specifically, we put in there again, because depending on the actual chemical, depending, you know, will vary on the volume.
Yeah, and that's gonna, you know, that's gonna be an issue if if one of the people you rent this to, or one of the companies, I should say, you rent this to, is services swimming pools, right? They're gonna have a variety of sanitizers.
Mhm.
Some liquids, some powders, et cetera. You know, I really can't tell you what volume to put. I mean, I would think the fire marshal should be able to help with that, but that should be a chemical of concern as far as being stored in the facility.
Okay, and we did specifically put in there that anything that is fire flammable, or in this case, we can add the notation in there to oxidizing agents or oxidizing chemicals, that everything's stored under the standards of the NFPA. And then also that if you are storing anything within the building that is flammable, that again, the town and the fire marshal be notified. So that, and I think that that's more important just from a fire safety for our volunteer fire department, that they know that potentially there's something there.
I mean, we have in town a business that installs and service, I think we have 2 of them actually, that installs and service swimming pool chemicals, swimming pools, so they'll have chemicals. But I'm sure they have large volumes and they know the proper safety and storage of those materials. But this is a mixed, this is implied as a mixed-use facility, right? And so it's also implied that, that if I'm doing swimming pool chemicals, I can also have a 5-gallon thing of gasoline there or something else that could potentially contaminate the oxidizing agent.
Mhm.
Highly unlikely, but,
Yeah.
you know, it could happen. So I just think that you should put under there, as far as chemicals not to be stored, or at least deal with the fire marshal, that oxidizing agents be addressed.
And maybe we address it with oxidizing agents being stored in in secondary containment as well, to try to limit the exposure as well.
Because we do have businesses that do have the chemicals, and
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure they do. So, did you want to talk about the top one?
And
I'll wait till you're done.
And that's, I'm just saying that's more of a zoning issue than it is a wetlands issue.
Yeah, but it's a, yeah,
Not
it is.
within the
But
wetlands area,
it's
though.
in the wetlands
Well, I mean,
area.
you're saying it's gonna cause
Well, if it
fire.
causes a fire, and if it causes a fire, and then that leads to the release of some of these other chemicals, then it's a wetlands issue. I mean, that's what
Because it's on the wetlands.
that's what we're concerned about. All of this is a zoning issue, but we don't want any of this to end up in the Farm River, because that's the most important to us. So that's why we're concerned about the storage of chemicals there. Any chemicals, truthfully.
So if you added the line that said oxidizing agent storage should be approved by the fire marshal.
Perfect, yeah. That would work,
Yep.
yeah. Because ultimately, the fire marshal should know all these things.
So we could add that as a bullet, so it's 4 bullets.
Yeah, the 5th
It
one.
could be the 5th bullet.
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
I'm gonna say be approved by the FM.
As long as you don't say BO.
Not AM.
As long as it's not BO. That's when I was in school, that's what that meant.
Still does.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So I have a few questions.
Yep.
So on line 2, it talks about approval from the town of North Branford. Do we know which particular office? Would that be worthwhile specifying? Okay, as long as it's in there.
So it would be the zoning, the town of North Branford zoning.
Okay. So next question I have is, this document is, it looks good, impressive, right? There's been some considerations made, but I guess my question for everybody here is, what is this document? And I'm not asking that because I'm ignorant. I'm asking it because from a legal perspective, and I'm not an attorney, what force of law does this have, or is this just like a nicey thing that you're showing us, and yeah, we'll have Joe Blow, the plumber, when he comes in, we'll have him sign this thing and it goes in a file and forget about it.
Well, what I was thinking is all of these can go in under our standard conditions.
Okay,
Well,
so
this-
absent that,
This document
Yeah.
become part of the record for the approval of this
And we
project.
can add them to our standard conditions. And
Very
so
good.
if anybody violates, then we have recourse.
okay.
Which we've done
That
in the
answers
past,
that
and it works
question. The other question I had
well.
is, it's not really our purview, but the fire suppression in the building, it's sprinkler, right? Standard sprinkler, there's no halon gas or anything like that?
No, and especially with the proximity to the river, if there's gonna be a sprinkler system in this building, it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be like a foam-based system because that
Yeah, no
foam
PFAS.
contains.
All right, that's all I had, thank you.
Can I ask one question about the last one? The following chemicals may be stored in the storage bins. Why are leaves and brush there?
It shouldn't say chemicals, it should just say materials.
No, but why are leaves and brush there?
So the idea would be if this is taken by a landscape company, generally speaking, they can stockpile it there until they have a large enough amount of brush and material that they can then
But
move off-site.
What's proposed are these little 6-foot storage facilities outside.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding why that would be needed to be stored there in order to then be hauled away.
So I guess, again, the idea is just to leave some flexibility there. So if I own a landscape company and we do, fall maintenance cleanup, and I have a dump trailer and it's got a little bit of material in it every day, I may go dump it there until I then have enough of a load to then take elsewhere. But basically, essentially just,
I'm gonna say no to that one, because that one's too close to the river, and we're trying to prevent things from washing away and into the river, and we wouldn't allow any of that brush storage to be between the parking lot and the river either. So I don't see much wrong with the other stuff, because that's to be used, but the leave and brush is to be moved away.
okay.
So that's just me. I
Yeah,
don't
'cause
know what the
I
rest feel.
agree, because I don't see how you could, because I volunteer every year for the spring and fall for the leaf drop-off in town.
Mhm.
I mean, I just don't see, and I've gone to businesses where I've had to get materials from these types of bins. I really don't see how that would work for storing leaves and brush. I could see somebody then dumping their dump truck load of brush along the side here and not in the bin. So I agree with Ashley that that needs to go.
Yeah, that can be removed.
And also, did you catch, it should say the following materials, not chemicals, for that section?
Yeah. So David, you have that too, right?
It should not say chemicals.
Yeah, it
No,
should
it
say
should say materials.
materials.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna change it so it says
The following materials may be.
no
stored.
leaves and brush.
We're
So-
just gonna
Rather than
cross that one out.
Rather than omitting it.
Okay.
I have a
Yep,
question.
leaves and brush.
Okay, that's fine.
Not trying to be argumentative, I just, for my edification here, education rather. What is the problem again with the natural materials being stored there? Is it the fact that it might flow out of there and into the water course and clog something up? Is that it? Because Mother Nature can do that on her own,
Yes, but if you're bringing in loads of it,
okay?
that just adds to the
So
problem.
my concern is this, and there's several bins there.
Mhm.
So would it be a difference in perhaps a cost saving to the owner, that the bins up here were used for that storage instead of that one? Why ban the whole thing when you can just say, all right, use bin 1, 2, and 3, but You know, would that work as a compromise?
But the bins are only, how far?
6 by something.
Yeah.
6 feet wide, right?
Well, you know, right now they're shown as 6 feet wide. The intent is that that area is gonna have bins. So whether they combine two bins, what's shown as two bins now to one larger bin, or, I mean, that portion of it, we feel should be left flexible. If it becomes one giant bin just for the storage of decorative stone, we don't feel that there's a difference, or should be considered a difference, in the use of that as a whole. The idea is that you're storing material outside in those places. I don't think the applicant would have a problem with saying, you know, no leaves or brush be stored here. I think that most of the landscape companies can just handle taking care of it on a daily basis as they do it.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to, and I want to just be clear, I don't want to limit this and say, okay, well, just because we show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bins at exactly 8 feet means that we feel that they should be required to build just 6 bins at exactly 8 feet. If they want to do 5 at 10 feet because that better suits, or combine 2 of those bins into one larger bin to store mulch, I think that kind of flexibility is more or less standard.
I think it's more.
Except that it's on the water line. Go
Right,
ahead.
right.
Yeah.
No, I think, but I agree with everything that's been said. The focus is if it's an acceptable product, it's fine. We're more
Yeah,
concerned about
and
making a
again-
bin wider to put, say, more brush, because, you know, you can see it some places in town, they clear and they just leave a big pile, but we just don't want that to,
Yeah.
be used there.
Yeah.
But making a bin big or small, as long as there's the things that are approved to go in there, I don't think any of the H2 members, at least I wouldn't have a problem with that, you know.
Okay, yeah, and again, I don't think that the applicant, stated it does not have an issue with eliminating leaves and brush storage.
Just so it doesn't
from-
become.
Again, my concern is that they're not gonna put it in the bin.
Or not
And
properly.
They're gonna
Yeah,
dump it.
Dump it in other places.
Other places, because I've had to shoot, because the town, like I said, in the spring and the fall, they provide a service that is manned by volunteers where people bring leaves and brush, and then they have to report the amount of vehicles that come, and no commercial vehicles can come. And I can't tell you how many times over the years I've done this, that I've had to shoot commercial vehicles away. So I'm kind of experienced with it and gun shy with it, so that's why I wouldn't want them to just start dumping leaves and brush here.
Yep.
And then filling in the area.
Right, it would have to be contained within the bin area without expanding it. Because then it goes into the upland review area.
Other than that, I'm fine.
Any other comments from the agency members? No, we're good.
And then the fishermen, based on the information we have, there's the parking spaces for the fishermen, and there's not gonna be any issue with them getting there and the deep getting in there to.
correct. So the
Efficient.
easements and everything are in the works as we speak. I had a conversation with a representative from DEP today. They're just in the process of trying to get all the legal portion of this taken care of, and then the map that we've provided was acceptable to them as far as the actual easement area, the parking spaces, and all of that, so.
So at this point, if we make all the revisions to the proposed motion, are we okay with that then, or?
I think
What
so.
proposed motion?
Well,
We don't have one.
oh, sorry, Dale, sorry, yeah. Dave,
Ask and you
he was
will
just bringing one
receive.
over. Well, I saw it on his desk, but yes, you're right. But we did want to add,
There's a couple that I wanted to go through.
right, and we did want to make this a standard condition, right? The recommendations on the printout, right, so definitely
We need to add it to
add that,
this.
right, that's, I just emphasize that, yeah, we all agree on that, so. And anything else that we want to add?
This would be part of the lease agreement, correct?
Correct. So the idea is that with the lease agreement that the owner is supplying to the tenants, they will also receive this document. Town planner will have this document, so when the leasees go to get their approval of use, they'll be reminded yet again, and that everybody stays on the same page.
So it's sort of number 18 on the conditions. And we could reference the,
Do we want posting of the signs too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where
condition.
Going forward, I was thinking that as long as we have enough signs, we won't run out.
Even if we don't, we just buy more
should.
signs.
Yes, you're right. It should be, I think it should be a standard condition. We should talk about that after, but we should make it a standard. I think we can do that.
Yeah, so I'm adding a 20 on top.
Okay.
So number 18 is going to include all of these with the changes?
Yes, I guess,
Right.
so this would be the proper name of this, the chemical, material storage requirements and information?
Correct. We can make that part of 18, you're saying, yes?
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
it's already part, yeah, I see. Gotcha.
Shall be included with the lease.
Yep.
Right.
All leases.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You want to grab some typos while we're at it?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, paragraph 1, page 1, says, and site plans as proposed by the permittee and approved by the agency. And on page 2, line 16.
I'm sorry, where are you?
I'm on page 1,
Standard
paragraph 1.
conditions number 1.
Right. As proposed by the permittee and approved by the agency. And the other one is on page 2, line 16, 10, 11, where's 12?
Oh, there is no 12.
Okay, well, anyway, line 16, are not deemed significant.
So we need to renumber
Yeah.
10,
So,
Just
13.
so everybody knows, that the purpose of doing these edits, it's not to be nitpicky grammar like in 8th grade, your teacher yelling at you. It's because these might be perceived as somehow deficient.
Oh,
If
these are
somebody
legal
reads that
documents.
and
Yeah.
sees that
Absolutely.
there's edits they weren't taken care of. So we're not being nitpicky,
There's
just
no
to be
number 5
nitpicky.
either.
Okay?
There's no number 5 either.
Dog ate his homework.
9, 10, 11,
and then so it'll be 15.
15.
Your 20 is now 15.
Okay. Let's add it onto this. Okay, we don't, this doesn't look good, okay. Sure. Just wanna. Don't we usually have the full name here? No, it's 734, so that there's no name and no map number.
If you want to use read right off,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
just edit it in, how's that? I think that's everything.
Okay,
I do have
hang
a
on
question,
second.
Mr. Chairman.
We gotta make some more changes here.
I have a question before we go on to that. For the purposes of our process, when you build a building, most buildings, they become functionally deficient in about 50 years. And usually people either vacate or tear the building down. But over that time, the use of the building, the needs of the owner and the tenants will change. So my question is, 5, 6, 7 years from now, the owner says, hey, I'm repurposing my building, I want to do this. They'll have to come back to us with a repurpose, correct?
If
That's
you're gonna-
understood, or
if
that's
it's-
the law?
If it's a dramatic change in the use of the property, it must come back in front of us, yes.
Okay.
And it's
All right.
it's also a planning and zoning issue too, because there could be some things that cross over. You know what I mean? It might not just be a wetlands issue, but.
All right, very good, okay.
But now I gotta find out where it is. App number what?
Now, of course, there's always a question how dramatic of a difference it is.
Well, dramatic
Kind of-
to you might be different to me.
Exactly,
De
so-
minimis, you say, no, it's the end of the world.
What I would say to anyone is like, if we discover that, they need to contact our agency,
Okay.
or David or the town planner, and then work through that, whatever.
Sure.
whatever-
One last thing on this, not to belabor the point, but what I see going on with this application and this is good communication. And we've seen other cases where a homeowner has lousy communication. And when the people are talking to each other like this, we get things done. If people are blowing somebody off and ignoring, the planner, that's not helpful at all.
Right.
You have a conversation, you get things done.
Good point. Communication is always, good communication is always better than bad communication.
So, we need a map number and a lot number. And are we going under the owner?
Yeah.
So are the owner and applicant the same?
Yes, oh, okay, thank you.
So map 58A, lot 5A?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm adding this on.
Wait, that's the wrong one, isn't it?
That's not this one, that's the next one. That's the next item on the agenda.
Right, okay.
I'll wait till he's ready to take his notes.
Everything all squared away.
I have like 8 different things here.
That's right. If anyone can do it, a teacher could.
All right, so you still need the lot number and stuff for the
I got
one we're
it.
talking about, right?
I got it.
What is it?
58A, lot 5A.
That's not what's up here?
Yeah, that was,
That's
he
a
had pulled
different-
it up, he had pulled it up before.
I closed it.
He closed this one out and pulled up the real one to the other lot,
Okay.
right? It's not for this one. it's
Correct.
for- Okay. All right. I move to approve IWWA application 2023-8 site plan for a proposed contractor storage facility with associated parking, loading and circulation space, stormwater management, and parking lot modifications within the upland review area at 730 Forest Road, map 58A, lot 5A, owner and applicant Emilio and Leah Salino. The following materials were considered as part of the record of this application. Application for inland wetland permit dated November 13th, 2023. 7-sheet drawing set, proposed contractor storage facility, 730 Forest Road, North Branford, Connecticut, dated November 6th, 2023. Revised January 9th, 2024 by Harry E. Cole and Son. Stormwater management report, 730 Forest Road, North Branford, Connecticut, prepared for Neil Salino. HEC project number 2436 dated November 4, 2023, Harry E. Cole, with the following conditions. Okay, standard conditions 1 through 12, and we're gonna renumber things. So on this, it should, number 1 has an edit that needs to be changed to and. Number 6 is number 5. Number 7 is number 6, number 8 is number 7, number 9 is number 8, number 10 is number 9, number 11 is number 10, number 13 is number 11, number 16 is number 12, with special conditions. Oh, sorry, and modified number 12 to make it past tense with deemed. Special conditions, number 13, no storage of oil, gasoline, fertilizer, pesticides, or any other toxic substances shall be stored in the garages on chemical and material storage requirements and information prepared by Cole and Sons, with the modifications that were done to their proposal with the typo on any waste generated deemed hazardous shall be removed by third-party waste management company specializing in that type of waste product or produced. Adding another bullet under the following chemicals are not to be stored inside this facility of no oxidizing, sanitizing agents, or just no oxidizing
agents.
No oxidizing agents. And under the last paragraph on the first page, the following materials, not chemicals, may be stored, and no leaves or brush is to be added to that.
This is gonna be added to the lease agreement, right?
And each of these, and hang on, I haven't
got it.
finished
Okay.
yet. So the chemical and material storage, that was submitted 1/24/24, to be included in the record of this application, and shall be included in all leases for any of the, what would you call them? Leases?
Lease agreement.
Lease agreements, okay. And number 14, adherence to the requirements of the Regional Water Authority in their letter dated November 29th, 2023, attached. And number 15, the posting of 100-foot buffer signage posted along the property line.
Okay, very good. Do we have a second?
You gonna do it? You want me to? I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you.
Passes, good luck.
You're welcome.
All right. So we're going to move on to item number 5, which is new business. And we're going to address item A, which is application 2024-1, 146 Lanes Pond Road. Site plan, replacement of storm drainage system. Owner, Town of North Branford. Applicant, Victor Benny, Town Engineer.
Good evening, hi.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good to see you.
We miss you, Victor.
And a few new faces. So you probably heard, we've had some issues with the existing storm drain system over at Lanes Pond Road through this property at 146 Lanes Pond Road, which is a town-owned property. And the actual source of the problem is originating from a water course south of the property, which comes from about 2,000, that water course comes from about 2,000 feet away. And instead of it maintaining its water course format through these properties, when this subdivision was created, let's see, in around 1975,
I guessed it.
the water course was piped under the road and then through this property, through another storm drain, settling chamber here, and then it crosses the road again here as a pipe network where it eventually outlets onto this property. You can kind of see the water course. That's I believe 59 White Hollow Road. That's a private property there. But basically over the past so many years, I won't do the math, but quite a while, the Public Works Department has been dealing with this as a problem. They've added over the years some control structures. There's a manhole here that they go into, and when things clog up, they'll clean out the manhole and hope that the flow from the water course will kind of clear things out. There's also a catch basin under the road here and here that were added in over the structure, over the pipe structure over time. Those were used as not only drainage points for this section of Walnut Road, but they're also used as, again, clean out points where there's a lot of rocky material, not gravel-sized material either. We're talking, stones from 6 to 12 inches or sometimes bigger that are making their way from the water course into the pipe network. The storms that we've had recently haven't helped, where we're getting a higher duration or a higher intensity of rain over a shorter duration of time. They're happening more often, even over the winter months, where we're used to getting snow, and a lot of these water courses should be, if I say, drying out or freezing up a little bit. They're not. We're just getting, it seems like we're getting rain in place of snow. And that was, if I show you an example from, let's see, and I apologize for my, one of our public works guys got a little crazy with the angle there. The road is not crooked, but if you can make believe that's horizontal, you can see this is looking down Walnut Lane towards Lanes Pond Road here. So the pipe that we're talking about that's clogged up is under the road here between what catch basin here, believe it or not, and a catch basin over here, which is all covered up with the material that's basically coming out of that catch basin system because the pipe downstream is so clogged up. So you can see that's basically what they're dealing with every time it rains and this happens. They're clearing off the road and reopening the road, but that's been basically the source of the problem. You can see, again, this is Walnut Lane here. We're looking into the town property where that clog pipe goes across here. So as those catch basins were in the picture that I just showed you over here are overflowing and flowing down Walnut Lane towards Lanes Pond Road, they're also on higher discharge rates where the pipe is really flowing. It's overflowing into the pond. That is creating a bit of a problem where we're getting a lot of that material built up here from the pipe network. Public Works hasn't made any efforts yet to clear that out. We're more or less basically waiting until the fix comes through where we take one shot at clearing that up, in that area adjacent to the pond. But you can see, or hopefully you can kind of make out that pond level after this storm is a lot higher than it usually is. The edge of the pond is usually down around this area here. So, we've got at least a couple feet of water, flood water built up in the pond there. And then downstream, if you go across the field alongside the pond over here, we're now at Lanes Pond Road in that section on the, I'll call it the GIS map that we're looking at, where this pipe network discharges out into 59 White Hollow Road, into that property. That's basically the end of the pipe network, the end of the problem. So through all this, we worked with, that's not the one. I won't X out of that, so we still have that one. Let's see where it was here. So through all of this, we've worked with, I kind of worked up the design with some input from the Public Works Department as far as, what we thought would be a good way to tackle this. And we worked with our on-call engineering consultant to kind of draw up the site plan that we have here. So again, you see, this is just to orientate you, I guess, this is Walnut Lane here, and then we have Lanes Pond Road. The actual pond going through the town property is right here. And again, this is that pipe network from 1975 that goes under Walnut Lane and through the town property. So this portion of the pipe is good as far as we know. There's water flowing through it. There's probably some debris in there. But we had, from looking down this section of the pipe, there's no clogs that we're seeing. So basically the replaced section of the pipe network is going to happen here under Walnut Lane. We're going to eliminate the two catch basins that are helpful as far as cleaning out the pipe, but we believe they also were causing choke points in the pipe. This pipe is going to outlet here now at a new head wall. And in this, what I'll say, little area on this plan, going to kind of have like a detention basin where Public Works can go in, clean it out, or basically a sediment basin where they can go in, clean out that material that discharges out of the pipe. And before it makes its way into this new replaced downstream pipe section, we're going to have basically like an outlet control structure that you'd see in a detention pond. But in this case, a concrete structure with different heights of entry points for the water to enter, but for the material that's clogging the downstream pipe not to enter. So we're going to use the outlet control structure, that concrete box, as basically as a control point to protect that downstream pipe from getting clogged up. So through all that, we have on higher frequencies of storm, where we have a higher volume coming through there, going to create a berm, an overflow berm, or a spillway, if you want to call it that, like a detention pond would have, where the overflows go into the pond and they're naturally draining back out. There's an overflow pipe in the pond. I haven't found it, but we know there is. But I think it's one of those ones where they purposely put it, it's underwater, I think, and it's probably covered over. The only thing I figure is where it's covered up along the edge of the shore, like with with stone, and you just can't see it. It's just designed to slowly drain down that pond back to its normal level. So that won't change. That pipe, overflow pipe from the pond that goes into this underground control structure that's here. So through all that, we have about 220 feet of pipe to replace here, the storm manhole to replace, which we're gonna maintain that as a cleanup point if it's ever needed in the future, and about 64 feet of pipe under the road, reestablishing the road base and pavement when we're done. And again, adding the end wall, the control structure, and then kind of reorientating where those, instead of those catch basins over the existing pipe that we think were also, creating choke points, we're gonna do 2 new catch basins up here. And instead of that flow used to go into this pipe network and, cause more flow than the pipe can handle, we're gonna send it down to this existing catch basin structure here as a point that, again, they all drain to the same location, but it just alleviates some of the flow that was coming into this pipe network from this water course, just because during those higher intensity storms, there's just such a intense flow of water coming through this system that we figured, well, why add more when we can redirect it down to here? So I guess in a nutshell, without showing you, too much detail on that, I also included the storm drainage design details, which was really, that I prepared, I think it's it's a 25-point construction sequence. So I know sometimes when I'm saying, we should recommend a construction sequence, this is going a little bit overboard on my part, but it was more, to give the contractor an idea, or the contractor that might be doing this, the idea of, a sequence of events to take to try to tackle doing this without just, well, I'm gonna go in there and dig up the road and replace the pipe, and then realize that we've got all this flow coming that we can't handle. So this was kind of designed so the contractor could pick off the points that were least exposed or affected by the runoff from the river, and then kind of rely on pumps and areas of no rain over 3-4 days of no rain where they could get this work done. And we're also hoping that, I know I said a month or two ago that we're hoping that during the winter that things would dry up a little bit, freeze up, and make it more easy for the contractor to do this work, but hasn't quite happened yet. We're hoping now that we do get a period, between now and March where the contractor might be able to get in there and at least start picking away at this.
Very good. Any questions or?
It's a larger diameter pipe than what's existing right now, correct?
The pipe that's going through the field is a 42-inch pipe, and that's what the existing pipe is 42 inches concrete. We're replacing it with a 42-inch plastic. There is a section under the road that's 42 inches that, but to manage extending the pipe that comes from the brook, we're gonna have to make that a 36-inch pipe, because that's the size of the pipe coming from the brook. So we're not oversizing any of the pipes, we're kind of using the pipe diameters that are there.
But now there's that area where it can relieve itself by the pond, which couldn't before, right?
Right, yeah, and the idea with that was to allow we can't really stop the material that's coming into the pipe from the brook. So the idea was to allow it to pass through that first section of pipe with no choke points, an outlet on the other side of Walnut Lane there, and give Public Works a chance to dig out, clear out any debris after the storm and after the water levels go down a little bit, and just get ready for the next storm.
Wow.
Ideally, I think we all know that if a subdivision proposal like this came to you now, they'd probably say, well, no, just put a box culvert under that section of Walnut Lane and allow the water course to travel through those properties. But I think, a little bit of a different mentality back in the 70s, on how to put a subdivision together.
But it should make it easier for our Public Works Department going forward, correct?
Yeah, right, that's the goal,
plan,
and
right?
again, to protect that downstream, larger diameter pipes from clogging up with material.
Yeah.
So do you want to zoom in a little bit and look at the pond over the last couple of years?
What's the advantage of the plastic versus the concrete?
So just plastic was, I think, from Public Works perspective, was more readily available, and it's just easier too for a contractor to install.
Because it's lighter?
Yeah, right, it's a lighter material, and we didn't have to worry about any extra, under a roadway, we typically go with concrete just to, protect it from heavier loads driving over it, and this pipe can handle heavy loads, but the plastic pipe, but the fact that it's in the grass field, we didn't have to really worry about it being a more durable
I was
product.
just curious.
Yeah. So I think David wanted to zoom in. Is that zoomed in enough?
Yeah.
And then I
So,
have to figure out how to.
While they're there, it seems to me that all this erosion as the pipes have been filled up have gone into the edge of the pond. And if Victor goes back a few years, you can see, so,
This area here.
yeah, that was a dry year, the end of the dry year in '22. You can see it getting filled in.
And you can almost see in this case the path that overflow water was taking it. They were having a problem back in 2022 with this.
Yeah, I think so. Either that or ancient civilizations.
No kidding. I know.
Ancient
So back
civilizations.
to 21, maybe that, it was happening a little less often, but you can still see maybe what, David, a little bit less of a, if we call it the delta.
Well, yeah, go back
Keep
more,
going.
because it keeps happening. So you can see how much, see there it is.
Different cars.
Yeah.
So all that sediment at the bottom of the pond, while we're there with bulldozers and stuff, I would say you should dig that stuff out of the
You
pond.
dredge the
So
pond,
dredge the
right?
pond.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, what we're at the edge of the pond here, so you're talking about cleaning up the area from the edge of the pond out to
Out to like there, yeah.
where it's been discharging all these years.
I mean, it's just silted up. You can go out there and you can see like 6 feet of
It
sand.
probably was originally, years ago, it was part of the original pond. It's been totally filled in.
And the things are growing, and, I mean, I think while they're there with it, they can just
It
dig
makes
it out.
sense.
Yeah, to clean it up, you're right. If you're gonna bathe that area, sure. Absolutely.
We could replant it with some Phragmites or some.
That's the wrong thing.
Oh, no.
Well, we know it'll grow, but yeah,
No, but what we can work with David to come up with a
seed mix or something just to
seed
kind of,
mix
yeah.
or, right.
Anytime you get that, you can probably remove some invasives while you're there too. They're everywhere now, cleaning it with selling up,
Right.
keep that free for years to come. I agree.
Now you got me hooked here, David. I want to keep going back.
Okay.
See how much bigger it is back in 2015?
So yeah, that looks like a little less influenced by all this, and you can see that kind of a buffer planting that they have working
Yeah.
there, so you can work back towards getting something like that reestablished.
Yeah, that would be a good target because you can see how much it's been filled in, killing a lot of that vegetation.
September 2015. I was only 12 years old. Marie's not buying it.
I don't blame you.
See, look, another good purpose of near map.
Again.
Yeah, this is neat. I guess I'll mention that it didn't come up yet. RWA gave some comments that came in January 23rd, 2024 from Ron Walters. Typical things that we consider. He mentioned erosion and sediment controls, which we've included in the construction sequence. During construction, we'll make sure that there's no hazardous fuel, oil, gas materials in the wetlands and buffer area, the regulated area. And we'll provide notification to RWA before work starts.
Am I running it again? again?
Yeah, I guess so.
You guys are good job, actually. Why should we mess it up? Keep going.
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
Okay. I move to approve IWWA application 2024-1, site plan for the replacement of the storm drainage system at 146 Lanes Pond Road, including rebuilding, repavement, damaged road section at Walnut Lane with dredging of the delta of the pond. Map number 78, lot 19, applicant Town of North Branford, Victor Benny, Town Engineer. Application for inland wetlands permit dated January 11th, 2024. Site plan 146 Lane Ponds Road. Why do I keep saying Lanes Pond Road, North Branford, Connecticut. Revision date December 4th, 2023 by Nafis and Young. With the following conditions. Standard conditions 1 through 10. With number 4 renumbered 3, number 7 renumbered 4, number 9 renumbered 5, number 10 renumbered 6, number 11 renumbered 7, number 13 renumbered 8, number 16 renumbered 9, 17 renumbered 10, and special condition number 11, adherence to the requirements of the RWA in their letter dated January 23rd, 2024, attached.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good luck, Victor. Great presentation.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So now I have a question. David, the numbers that you're putting on here, are these the standard condition numbers that you're pulling off and you're not renumbering them? Or is this
I was
the
gonna
number?
say, I was thinking that's how Lynn, or you were probably doing it, so it reflects back on your standard condition.
There are omitted, I believe there are omitted conditions.
Right, so that, okay.
I don't think it matters in terms of you can change the numbers in the way you
Okay.
presented it. I mean, we don't really
As long
care.
as the conditions that we want are there,
This
is
way,
what you're saying.
this way, we can sort of keep them in order so we know which ones to get rid of, and then you can change the number when you make the motion.
Okay.
Just renumber.
Thanks,
you.
Victor.
Okay, thanks, Victor.
Good seeing you again.
You too.
You're not staying?
Yeah, you're if you need.
We need to change the agenda.
Right, yeah, David, you want to change the agenda, you want to,
Correct.
we
We need
can
to
make a
make a
motion,
motion.
yeah, that's right. So if someone wants to make a motion that we revise the agenda so we can allow for the presentation.
What's
I
the
don't
name
know
of
what
the
we're doing.
presentation?
Presentation is
It's a
removing,
removal of invasive
Invasive
water
chestnuts.
chestnuts from Page's Mill Pond at
16 Mill Road.
16 Mill Road.
Okay,
Informal discussion as to whether it's a regulated activity.
okay.
okay, I move to amend the agenda to number 5B. Would it be new business or 6?
That's good.
Okay,
No,
5B,
business, yeah, 5B.
new business, to possibly remove invasive water chestnuts of the Farm River at Page's Mill Pond, 16 Mill Road. What David said.
Do we have a second for all that?
Yes, second.
Thank you, Bob. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
We have a motion, and now we're ready to go. Identify yourself for the record, sir, and you can proceed. That's it.
My name is Lindsay Suter,
Thank you.
owner, 16 Mill Road. I have a few guys to hand out, may I?
Yes, come on up. We just wanted to get your name on the record, that's all. We know who you are, but we still gotta.
All right, very
gotta
good.
see-
If you don't mind sending it down the line. Regrettably, I only have 3,
That's all right.
yeah, 3 of these, so
That's all right.
We'll share.
you guys can share. Just
We're good at sharing.
That's good. Well,
Back to-
that's fine. No problem. Thank you.
Use this nice, such nice
Yeah,
paper.
this is
Oh,
nice paper.
yeah, very nice.
High quality paper links.
to be honest, I am Kurt Johnson's dueling second.
All right.
He was unable to make it. But as you get yourselves situated with that, the real action is behind you here. And I just want to reiterate that the purpose of this is just we're seeking a determination, please, from you all, that the removal of this, mechanical removal of it, and composting of it right across the way is not a regulated activity. That's kind of the point of the evening. To make the point, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing and what
Okay.
we'd like to accomplish, and that hopefully will yeah, that was my backyard. That was the pond
So
in my backyard.
Excuse me,
last year.
before you start, is this
Yeah.
being done for the land trust or for you as the property owner?
Oh,
both.
It's, good point, and I haven't gotten to that yet. I am helping out here because I'm the boots on the ground at this. It is a larger effort, being led by the Friends of the Farm River Estuary.
Okay,
So it's a conservation group that started, really focusing on the estuary portion as it goes to Long Island Sound, but realizing that everything is connected, they've been taking on other issues that impacted them sooner or later because they're upstream. I am upstream.
And point of information that Friends, I was a founder of the Friends of the Farm River Estuary, and I'm still on the executive board. And we just changed our name 2 weeks ago to Friends of the Farm River and Estuary. So we're
Okay.
expanding our efforts
Gotcha.
to move up the river. We've
Okay.
been around for 25 years, which for a small 501c3 is pretty amazing. We've done a lot of work in the estuary. We've done a lot of education. But Kurt Johnson is now our new president. And after reviewing the Farm River study from last year, we decided to really take it on as a not-for-profit and make it happen. So Free is applying for an invasive species grant
Okay.
to remove the water chestnuts in the mill pond.
Lindsay, can I also ask
And
one
elsewhere,
other?
into the whole river course, because
Right.
of course what happens one place, the other.
It's clogged up.
Could I ask one other question?
Yeah.
Is this impacting the fish ladder?
Yes,
Okay, all right,
and that, yeah, lots of things connected here.
yep, all right.
Shall I? Okay,
Yes,
great.
go ahead.
So
Yeah.
that's the idea. You're familiar with the stuff itself. It actually looks rather benign. And I'm told they are edible, though I haven't screwed up my courage
Yeah.
yet.
So just send a lot of people out there to eat them.
Maybe
A lot of something.
Can you imagine that?
At the potato festival, we can have a new salad. It would be good.
So here is a drone photo done by the Regional Water Authority relatively recently that shows the pond last summer, not this past, but the one previous. And essentially all the stuff that you see on the east bank, in the top 2/3 of it, that's water chestnut, the lighter green. Since then, and that's considered roughly an acre and a half. And as of last year, it has now shown up on the west bank as well, and it's moved all the way down to right in front of the dam. So it's a good deal more than that. I just take a stab at maybe 2 acres worth by now. And the pond itself is about 4 acres, so it's a good half of it now. We only identified it, the family, us, 3 years ago. And since then, we've been, just my family and I have been trying to just yank it out by hand. And a couple times we've had some help from Trout Unlimited, the Hammonasset chapter, who's taken an interest in our watershed as well, and Save the Sound, and then FFRE, the Free. And we didn't make it, but a dent. And I mean, hours on a Saturday afternoon with 12 to 10 people, and we realized we needed to call in the cavalry. Okay? So here we are. That was one of our days with us hand harvesting in canoes and kayaks, and we dragged it in, dragged it upland, just on my property, and composted it there. It actually, ironically maybe, is wonderful compost. It's nutrient dense. It's great. And the thing is, there are no weed seeds in it,
Okay.
because it's all aquatic, right? So you're never bringing stuff that you don't want, and it's great stuff, but a little prickly. So we decided we kind of needed a little bit of help with it. In the larger context, the red outline there is our watershed, all the way down to the estuary itself. And you can see on the legend on the right there, we have checked many places. We just a bunch of volunteers over a couple of weekends went to every likely body of water that we could find and access legally, and looked for it. And the good news is is, with one exception, and forgive me, I gotta get up to show you this one, the orange triangle
Yep.
up top there, which is just across the road from Chicorelli Farms, did have a little bit of it in it. Otherwise, it's the purple one, which is us. And that is the big one. We're what's feeding everything down below, and these are also places where it's been found. So we're a little bit afraid that we're the upstream generator, potentially, of seed that can tumble down and find a harbor in slower waters below it. So that's why we feel that this is actually kind of an access point, a really important place. And we wanted to attend to it there. Let's see. What we're suggesting doing is mechanical harvesting. So this is not herbicides or anything like that. This is just, it's a glorified rake that big mechanical rake that scoops the stuff out, and it draws very, very little water, so it can get into really shallow areas. It will get 90-some% of it, the remainder of which you do have to do by hand, just because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Getting it all. And it would be taken down to, if you're familiar with my property, the east side, that is not the mill house side, but the other side. We have good access there. In fact, it's the old roadbed where the old bridge used to be. And we would pull it out there and take it directly across the street to, and again, I've got to get up to kind of show you here, because it's not very good. This is the mill pond here. It's just not a terribly good slide. And here's our house. The other side is our gate to go out, and then just right across the road, this land trust property, of which I am the steward. We've been trying to think about it. I was the first one, so I keep an eye on. Well, there it is. I am, and de facto. Might as well get credit for it. And so the idea here is, can you make out this overlay of a little of wetlands?
Yeah.
Right.
I can see it.
Okay.
Right.
It is just, and I don't think it's terribly accurate, frankly, but it's what exists now, and it shows that on this site here, up to where my finger is, could be considered wetlands or wet enough. The rest of this is upland as it goes upgrade. This is old Henry Ford's old farm.
Right, that's now developed.
Correct?
Yeah.
And so what we're proposing is this area here where you see the X is high enough such that it's upland, it drains really, really well. There is a nice little flat area right here, so it makes its own containment, and all that's gonna come off of this stuff is water anyway. But, you know, if we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's, here's the river course, and it is in excess of 200 feet from center of river, and it is at least in excess 100 feet away from anything that is designated here as wetlands. And again, I think that's really quite just based on my experience taking care of the hayfield there.
Is this the first house property?
It is.
Okay,
That's the
how
house.
close to the line is this proposed area?
25 feet.
That's a setback on the sides.
The closest, probably 20 feet.
Okay.
It's 20 feet setback, so
Yeah.
that would be fine.
And if I were, again, to.
Good thing you're tall.
Move the finger back or forward.
Edit this graphically, I would say that this line actually is much, much closer to the river edge in the escarpment in the boundary of the river. However, this part up here, I think is right, because that is that swale that was made when they redid the bridge and goes down here. And it is dry for much of the year, but it is still a swale, and it does carry any major rains down the river. We've been planting it with swamp iris and jokai weed and things like that as a conservation effort, but that's why we wanted to pull it down to the more southern portion of our site to stay away from that wetlands as well.
Yep.
All right, talk Well, this is just something we've been working with someone who does this stuff for real, whom, a picture of whose equipment you saw earlier, that specializes in the removal of invasive species, aquatic species like that. And we just asked them, could you please show us what you mean by a stockpile hay bale structure? So these are just hay bales that we also compost at the same time, but contain the stuff while it's still very, very hydrated. The stuff shrinks down to practically nothing because it really is mostly water, but before it dries out all the way, it can pile up a little bit. So we put a stockpile there. Let's see. Yeah, that'll do it. There are a few talking points. Would you mind if I went over them very quickly?
Sure.
From FFRE? Okay, good. I know it's getting late, but the farm river is being invaded by this water chestnut. At this point, it's still controllable. We think it's going to be okay. The two big places are us and Furnace Pond, that the Regional Water Authority has jurisdiction over, and is attending to that as well. We've been working with them a lot on this. They've been really helpful, really great. What it does is it's just too good at what it does. It proliferates and it shades everything underneath it. So it shades out other species and prevents other components of the ecosystem of the pond to go well and to grow and to thrive. And this, we've noticed it this year already. Even the migratory birds don't have anything to eat because after the stuff dies down, there are no root systems left that are edible to them. So the geese, for instance, the Canada geese, they usually show up in September, didn't come until late November. They didn't see it as a pond, and they're not feeding there very well. It's kind of a shame. We see that, and we also see, if I can put a fine point on it, Trout Unlimited and Save the Sound, and yours truly dropped almost $500,000 making this fish ladder.
Yep.
And now there's not a habitat for the spawning alewife alevin, the young of the year,
Yep.
to do their thing, to get big enough to make it back down to the sound. So that's on our minds a lot too. Yeah, as I said, the volunteers and I have been trying to do it by hand. It's just Sisyphusian. And this is what Kurt and FFRE refer to as the linchpin in the watershed-wide control plan for it. Mechanical harvesting is, to my knowledge, to our knowledge, is not regulated. It's not a regulated activity, but it does benefit the river. There's no discharge of chemical components or herbicides or anything like that. And I understand Mr. Perkins agrees that you interpret the regulations that way, that it's not. Regarding the composting of the chestnut I mentioned earlier, if you get it away from the water, it's really benign. In fact, it's quite good. Yes, I did try the angle of monetizing this and selling it somehow, but that just somehow never got off the ground.
You have a great garden.
So here I am with hat in hand to the DEP instead of making a quick buck on it. But there it is. The idea of us disposing of it across Mill Road on land trust property is just this wonderful boon. I'm also in the land trust. The land trust said, yeah, we'll take it. They've been trying to improve the soil over there for a long time so that it'll be a proper hayfield, so that we can help out the pages or the augers with giving them opportunities.
Natural fertilizer, basically, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's nice, and we've been trying to stomp the mugwort down. I know they're coming at us from all directions. The mugwort, which is invasive on that site, and so we're hoping even that if we can get a twofer out of it, it'll be smothering the mugwort. But that's too much to ask for this evening. The biggest reason for that is the expense. They don't have to truck this heavy, wet stuff somewhere else, and this saves us, I mean, like 35 or 40% of our removal budget if we can do this, and that would be just wonderful for so many reasons. I've already mentioned the upland composting disposal area is greater than 100 feet from wetland boundaries, as visual there, and that'll do it. I don't want to take more.
I have a
I
question.
don't think so.
Please.
So when you say invasive species,
Yes.
if I could ask, I mean, did somebody just say, hey, let's throw this in here and see what it takes? Or did Mother Nature just decide to invade itself?
No, it's Eurasian.
I'm sorry, what?
Eurasian. The plant itself is from the area around Eurasia, Caucasus Mountains and so forth.
Yeah.
And it was introduced to this country as always in this wonderful little koi pond or goldfish pond thing because
Okay,
you
that
can't
makes
kill it,
sense.
it's wonderful. And it is taken off from there via Mother Nature.
Right, I got it. Okay, thank you. See, I learned something.
I don't think this is a regulated activity.
And especially the way you described how you're gonna remove it, it sounds like the most ecologically sound way to do it without really causing any damage. I mean, obviously gonna improve the waterway, which is why you're doing it, so I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a great idea that you can do this, I think. Because, again, the ecosystem, especially with the trout and everything else that's moving in the waves, it's only gonna improve. And obviously, if it makes its way down to the fish ladder, then it will totally eliminate the purpose of that, right? Because if
Yeah, unfortunately, the big payoff is the pond itself.
Right.
This particular species of
Right.
herring needs slow, deep water for their babies to make. The river herring, the blueback herring, apparently use different areas and places, but this is what they need.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If, and I was instructed also by Kurt, if it seems like you're agreeable to this, am I getting this right? Is this both an inland water, wetlands and conservation commission evening?
Yes, we're combined. Yeah.
Okay. So would also, I ask, does the conservation commission also support the goals of the project? Is this a twofer?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
just trying to
Oh,
pad
yeah.
our
Oh,
brand,
yeah.
you know, to the
Oh,
CEP.
yeah. Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think, if everyone's in agreement, I think we just need a simple motion to say that it's not a, it's,
Yeah, I'd say make a motion that you find it not to be a regulated activity and that you
gotcha.
promote the
I fairly s-
concept of conservation.
Absolutely, all right. Would someone like to make that motion? I think
So
if you all agree.
I make a motion that we do not consider this a regulated activity, and we support, and promote the conservation of the Mill Pond and the Farm River and the estuary.
Second.
Second, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Good luck. It sounds like a great
No,
project.
very grateful, thank you.
Do you think you'll get it, you're attempting to do this year, are you, I assume, or as soon as things warm up a little bit? Obviously, you won't be
As soon
the,
as we can, yeah.
yeah, obviously not now, but I mean, you want to do it this year, I assume, right?
Every year you wait.
It gets worse, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's what I
kinda
thought, okay. No, good, just curious, yeah.
The
good.
Hobbit or those.
Good luck
you know,
as soon
it's
as,
all building up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
good luck.
Good luck.
Lovely. So,
You've been doing a great job over the years.
Thank you, thank you. Doing our best.
I know you are.
Mostly going well. So I can pull this out. Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen,
You're very
gentlemen.
welcome. Have a good evening.
May I be excused?
Yes, you may. You may leave, yeah.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, Lynn.
Take care. All right, I guess we can move on to item 6, under Wetland Enforcement Officer's Report. There's a couple things here, violation at 213 Forest Road, violation at 32 Sarah Road, and discussion of enforcement tools.
So I have no update on 213 Forest Road. 32 Zero Road is being sold to somebody. They should be closing shortly, who actually wants to build a building there. That's the one where they cut the trees in the back. Remember that?
Yeah,
Yep.
yep,
So he was gonna come in with a site plan,
Yep.
right.
and now there's a new owner who's gonna come in with a site plan, who's picking
Oh,
up.
Okay.
just since
Yeah,
Tommy Fortno came in here. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, well, I guess that's fine, as long as they come in with a site
so
plan. Yeah.
Tommy did take a whole bunch of, old metal crap out of the lot, so.
Yeah,
that's-
that was good, there was a lot of junk back there, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't close to the wetlands.
Right, no, I remember walking by there after that and seeing it with my dog, and it was a mess, so it was good that at least they cleaned it up a little bit, so, very good.
I have a discussion tomorrow with the town attorney relative to blight. So I will talk about enforcement tools with them as well.
Very good.
I have an ongoing situation at 140 Old Post Road.
Okay,
And there's a large property up there owned by, I have to think of his name.
is it a subdivision?
He wants to subdivide it. It's right next to Lyle Lane. It's the next lot over. And he wants to subdivide it. And he perked the property, and the water table is so high that they can't perk.
Uh-huh.
So they've hired Nafis and Young to go and put a series of pipes underground with test holes up in the air, and they're daylighting the water table out to an elevation that's the same as the water table up high. You follow me?
Yeah.
So
Is
they,
it disturbing anybody else, any of the neighbors?
yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
So now the pipe is full of water, and it's rained like
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's rained more in the last 2 months than it rained all in 2022.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a lot of flooding, and it's hard for me, as a simple zoning enforcement officer, to say that that pipe is affecting the wetlands. You would think that maybe it is. So it goes all the way down to Meadow, what's off of Clintonville Road, Meadowbrook, Meadow. So there's a lot of flooding of people's houses.
And Nafis and Young did this
Yeah.
without getting permits?
Well, it's not a structure, it's not,
Doesn't matter.
well, what would they need?
I mean, if they're redirecting water and it's flooding other people's property,
Well, it hasn't, there's no determination that it necessarily has. I believe that it has been flooding the property to the south, but maybe that would have happened anyway, because it's rained so much.
So you're investigating more.
And the
right
water
this stage,
table, and
that's
the
what
water
you're saying.
table is so high to start with, because they can't even perk. The water's this far underground, and now,
How would they even do because there's no sewer over there, so they'd have to do how would they do a leaching field then?
well, they're all gonna be, 8 septic systems, 10 septic
Yeah, I
systems
mean-
in this subdivision.
Right, but there's no sewers over there, so they have to, right, correct?
Correct.
So if they're gonna have to do an engineered system, if they, when they get to that stage, because the water table's that high.
So
Wow.
I've had lots of complaints over the last
I'm sure.
6
Oh, yeah.
weeks. I've been out there innumerable times. The Coach Drive, people who are getting flooded. The water's coming out of the bottom of the hill. There's no channel. There's no sheet flow. It's coming out of the bottom of the hill. Who am I to say that, the pipe did something right? So basically, I wrote a report. Did I send it to you? I thought I did. I will send you a copy of my report, which basically says, this is the issue that's going on. I don't believe it's a wetlands issue. I don't believe it's a town issue. I believe it's a civil issue, and I'm not gonna really get involved.
At least you're aware of it, you keep an eye on it. I mean, if it gets worse or someone else complains, right?
I'm trying to be helpful, but I can't, without engineering help,
Right.
I can't really point my finger and say, you have to do this, you have to do that.
I know what you mean, you're right, as much as knowledge, to really figure out the source of that water, you need an engineering, if it got to that stage, you need an investigation, obviously, and a report saying what is the cause of the flooding, but right now, it's more for your information, you're aware of it, and I guess.
So on the western side of the property, there are a bunch of wetlands and actually ponds, and not vernal ponds, they're like little ponds. and they're flowing onto this guy's property, and it would be an easy fix. There is sort of a water course to the north. It would be an easy fix for them to come to us and say, I'd like to redivert.
Make a berm or something, I mean, just to kind of push the water
Yeah,
that way.
either put up a berm or put up a cut to stop it, to get it going to the right
Why,
place.
just so they can make a development?
No, this would be to protect the house
Oh,
that's
okay.
being
The
flooded.
homeowner's flooding, yeah, no, I don't,
Okay,
but I understand a homeowner wanting to
yeah,
obviously reduce the amount of flooding that's going on.
okay.
So they're all talking about suing each other, and
Mhm.
that's
Oh,
fine. I just wanted to alert you
Fun to try
because it was a topic all over town. 2
Well,
weeks
like,
ago.
like I said, you know, you walk in, I walk into Big Eye and someone catches me and starts to, so I appreciate you letting us know. At least now we know, you know. Someone will probably say something eventually, yeah.
Can I add something?
Sure, go right ahead.
David, can we add to our standard conditions that the placards, the 100-foot placards are a standard condition? So can you add that to our list of standard conditions, so that's always added to any of the wetland notification properties?
Because we keep adding it anyway, man.
Yeah,
Might
we
as well
keep
make
adding it
might as well
anyway,
make it
so can we
everyone
please make it so that it's a standard condition instead of a special
Good.
condition?
Can I ask a couple questions?
You may.
We had talked about having that homeowner's guide be put in the Tutucket Times, and I know the last edition of the Tutucket Times had the waste pickup,
The
et
sheet,
cetera, it stuck in there. How do we get the homeowner's guide put in the Tutucket Times that we developed? It's on the, I know it's on the website, but how do we get that?
I'll talk to them and find out.
Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to ask, in the last month's minutes, you were gonna talk to the town manager about the blight ordinance?
Yeah,
We
he
have a-
mentioned that.
Oh, you did already? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he mentioned that, that's
He's
under
working
the
on that, yeah.
tools.
Okay,
He's gonna mention Blake.
We have a meeting tomorrow.
perfect, I'm sorry.
You have a little-
I have to leave. Talk too much talk about water.
Okay.
All right, Dave, do you have anything else, or is it, we're good, or anything else?
No,
Have we had any problems at the police station at all with water? When the police
Big
station?
pond in front of it.
Well, the reason I ask is, on building committee, we raised the elevation of the high school by almost 2 feet from the original plans. We were concerned about water. We did the same thing with the police station. And then I heard that from my sources, that there was a lot of water that was a little bit unexpected at the police station. Has anybody heard anything like that?
All I
Not
know
as
is
far as
there's a lot of
affecting the
water.
See it
building.
visually, but I'm hoping that's, you know,
Yeah, because we
construction
raised,
deal, when it's all
we did
done.
raise the police station also.
Yeah, oh no,
but I raised-
I'll bet you when it's all done and graded and seeded,
Yeah.
it hopefully won't be an issue,
Okay.
but it's, you know, in construction like this, that happens when you
Yeah, all
get
right.
huge rain
Very good.
events, it's just, it'll hopefully percolate out of there.
Yeah, here's a case for no news is good news.
Right, yeah,
The water table is extremely high.
Right now, yes,
yeah.
Right.
and we're gonna get some more.
Great.
It has been for months.
Yeah,
So we had where we live, Marie and I live, at the bottom of our hill on 22, we have electrical pole, you know, the utility pole. And on the side of the utility pole, there is a conduit that goes up.
Mm.
The water, and this conduit is at least 8 foot tall or more. The water was spritting out the top
Wow.
of it when we had all that rain a few
Yeah.
weeks ago. It just shows you how high, again, we're at the bottom of the hill, it's at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
The water pressure, the amount of water in the ground is unbelievable right now.
It's gonna rain for the next 4 days.
yes, so it's not gonna go
It's gonna have a lot
down.
more stuff.
Yeah. If you have a sump pump, it's gonna be on, that's for sure.
We've been squeegeeing out the garage every day.
Yeah, whatever works, right? I've been fairly good about that.
Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to
24
adjourn.
hours or sump pump.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Hey, you did a great job, thank you.
You have to do a lot of revising,